Hello, mothers. Hello, fathers. Hello, people across the world. I want to come to y'all to give y'all some understanding that I myself was a child at a time. I had grandparents that raised me and not my mother and father. But my grandmother had a way she lived. And in her home, I don't care what happens. Guess what? At a certain time, you had to be up and out of that house. When I stopped going to school and figured I was just gonna run the streets, I could not lay around in her home. I had to figure out something. I had to make up a lie like I was going out to work the same time my grandfather went out to work every day, acting like I was looking for a job. Now, we gotta have the understanding of who your child is. You have to have that understanding, rather. If he has a father that was a little rough around the edges, or if he was lazy a little bit when it ain't no fast money coming around, means he doesn't like to work unless there's big money involved. You got to motivate that son and or daughter of yours. You could sit around and be like, I'm ignoring it, I'm going to be a little lenient. But what happens is that child begin to become lazy. And once they become lazy, you got to have understanding they're not going to have a lot. They're not going to have no get up and go about themselves or nothing. You're going to be being a parent when they're older than what they were supposed to be older. Now, me at 16, it was like I had to get out. I couldn't sell drugs and live in my grandmother home, nor could I just lay around in my grandmother home. I had to get up and get out. Of course, I went the wrong direction and it led me to mischief because they were elders. They didn't really have time to sit me down and say to me, or even remembering so much things they had going on, to say to me, when you go outside, do this, that, and the third, because they're expecting me to do exactly what I done in the home out in the street. That's not the case all the time. Some of us that are real mannerable, we tend to be very bad in the streets more than we are at home. So when that teacher used to come back to my grandmother and tell her that I was fighting and I was bothering people and I was kicking the back of chairs and I was doing these things, I really was. But because my grandmother thought she raised me one way, she went along with me, and the fact that she loved me, you know? But at the end of the day, that's called enabling. It's the wrong thing to do. You can't agree with these kids, but guess what? You could give them understanding of agreement when they're by themselves, not around anyone, whether it's teachers, school, or whatever. If you know they full of S, look, you're full of it, man. And at the end of the day, we got to start putting that in their heart. I say to the older men like myself, you see me on this journey, I'm not asking you to do anything else but give understanding to the people so we can have better communities in our world. I know in the city of Philadelphia, no one feels happy. Everyone feels unsafe the minute they walk out of their door, and some individuals feel unsafe in their home. The reason being is because they're feeling unsafe in their home because their own children are becoming individuals who disrespect them, who don't care for them, who don't love them, and only want to use them because that parent isn't teaching their child right and wrong, manners, and how to go in the right direction, or even loving and caring. We got to get a grip. You dig me? OG on the block that see the youngin' acting up. You gotta say something. All of this plays a part in the honorable village that everybody is trying to rebuild. I talked to Moo about that the other day and just told him that at the end of the day, he has that gate, that key to do exactly that. And he's doing a wonderful job. But when is individuals gonna start doing it also? When is somebody gonna say, never mind downtown, never mind a nonprofit, I want to do it just because I want my community to have some honor and have some strength. You won't do it because basically you're saying you only care about you and yours. And that's a problem in today's world, in today's society. You see the news, you see women and children getting harmed more than anything. Now, you'll have an individual that you may speak out loud to and say, hey, why is your child running around like that outside? You're like, what do you mean? I want my child supposed to have regular fun. But you knew damn well up the street they were shooting a week ago. But you got your child outside? You knew damn well that in the court of your apartment buildings or in your projects, it's nothing but drug selling going on, but you allow your child to go outside. And when you say that to these people, you know what they say? Wow, what's the problem? I mean, ain't nobody after my child or nothing, is it? No, turn the news on. The state of events is just showing you that at the end of the day, we're in an uproar, a world living in hard economical times. Drug dealers barely make money. You know, not every drug dealer is winning. It's very selective few. So that causes drug wars. Get some understanding of your community and what's going on around you. And it's going to come all the way back to the home again. What are you allowing your child to learn? What are you teaching your child? Is it morals? Is it ethics? Are you getting them up every day? Are you making sure that if they don't have to work, they're doing something around the house? If you're not, you're part of the problem. And you may cause someone else to get harmed by way of your child because you're going to allow the streets to raise them. Do you want your children to be raised by the streets? Because I was raised by the streets, although I got my manners from my grandmother. And then the penitentiary raised me also. You want to do it or you want to let them do it? Because it could be a time where whatever they're doing that's incorrect and that you didn't give them knowledge of, they could be murdered in these streets and their life is a lot shorter than what you expected. You'll outlive them. But you learned it because guess what? Your life learned lessons. You actually got through them. But because you went through it so hard, you feel like you don't want your child to experience any struggle. And that's bad if you're not already rich. Because your child will experience struggles. And they have to learn how to do it. And the only person that's going to teach them that area is you. And you too, that's watching. So what do? I'm going to tell you what we do. If we don't start working together. Get the betrayers away from your family. Tell your children who he and she can't be around. You make it known. If they sneak around and do it, that's on them. But guess what? In the back of their mind, they're going to have understanding. My mom or my father or my grandparents gave me understanding. This person or that person wasn't this when anything goes wrong between them 2, 3, or how many people it is. But you got to be the one to plant the seed in order for it to grow. I know you couldn't tell me that I would have a mindset where I didn't think that jail or hell was a part of my lifestyle. You couldn't tell me that. I thought I was locked in until I was in that can and my grandparents start dying off. Both sides of the family. Then you see your whole immediate disappear and you realize that's all you really had. And now you got to call on God and nobody else. So what we going to do? We're going to keep running around here being selfish, worried about this, our children. Oh, I ain't worried about nobody but just mine. So what we going to do? What we going to do? All right, never mind the real zats at this point, the betrayers. They who they are. Your child should not even want to be in the streets to be amongst that. So nix that's out of the window. The life sentences, the 2 years here, the 3 years there, to end up to a life sentence. You know, it's almost like they multiplying and doing a sentence that they already calculated from the time you got arrested. We do one. I ain't done a one on that one, done a 5. That's how I get tired of the jail story so much. It's like, what are we promoting here? These kids are listening to us and saying, I could do that. I'm bravado. I could do what Erner done. He done day for day. He was in the hole. He done this. He stabbed. He did all that nonsense that they can embrace and really become. That's so easy to do, but what's hard to do is the right thing. And that's what we got to put in our children. You got to put the right thing in them. And if you put the right thing and you start planting that seed, no matter how bad your child is, their conscience will begin to get them. And they'll start doing the right thing because mom, dad, grandparents, or OG up the street, OG down the block, OG around the corner that used to do this or that still is, telling them, look at me, man, you're tripping. I'm out here banging my metal about what? Barely can flip a brick. I'm out here doing all these crimes. I don't got no work to go do no fraud. It's harder. It's different. Technology has shut it down. That's what the OGs need to say to y'all. Because I don't have a problem with saying it to y'all. Because I let y'all know that y'all not my peers. Y'all my youngins. Y'all the ones that should have understanding right off the bat. If you done it wrong at first, go to jail, come home, you see what you went through? You can't do it again twice. I've done it too many times before you. To give you understanding, ain't no first, ain't no second, ain't no third, ain't no fourth, ain't no fifth. We got to tap all the way in on our honor, and we got to restore the honor in our own hearts and our family and our children. We got to start focusing on positivity. If you're not focusing on any of that, you're going to lose, and guess what? Your child is going to lose. Some may say, King or the Hama lose. That's on him or her. You're going to heard about it. If you don't heard about it, you're a piece of Trill's ass. That's your child. You're going to think about it. You're going to always be worried. You're going to go out your way to give up your check, your last couple of dollars, to make sure that son or that daughter got something to eat in that jail cell, or those drugs that they on them so bad that they got to come knock to your door for something, whether it was eat, to take a shower. You're going to do it. You're going to enable some way, somehow. So let's start at a very young age, from the time they're young, start rebuilding these men, because we got to rebuild them, because us as the fathers, we were broken down and we had to rebuild ourselves. So they already had that breakdown already in them. So let's start rebuilding them and stop destroying them. King on a life and direct.